So here's something that should be blowing up your social media feed, but probably isn't. A whistleblower just testified that Meta, yeah, that Meta, one that owns Facebook, Instagram, and more of your life than you'd like to admit, knowingly put Americans and American national security at risk. Why? Because operating in China is good for business. The whistleblower's name is Miss Sara Wynn-Williams. She's a former Facebook employee and acted as the director of public policy for about 7 years, from 2011 until 2017. She also wrote the book Careless People, A Cautionary Tale of Power, Greed, and Lost Idealism. Upon writing that book, Ms. Wynn-Williams was threatened by Meta, the parent company of Facebook, with a fine of $50,000 every time she disparages the company. This has prevented her from doing interviews about her book. However, on April 9th, 2025, Sara Wynn-Williams appeared before the Judiciary Subcommittee on Crime and Counterterrorism, and I watched the whole thing so you don't have to. And what I saw was terrifying. Meta even tried to prevent her from testifying in front of Congress since they claimed it would violate her non-disparagement agreement. In fact, Meta themselves said,
"Such actions would create an exception to non-disparagement, that it would eat the rule. In such circumstance, nothing would limit or prevent those legislators or their aides from parroting to the public any disparaging statements." And I just want to pause here because a disparaging statement is a true statement. So it's telling you the truth.
And that's a tough one because, I am not a lawyer, but if I go to Congress and I swear under oath to tell the truth, I'm kind of obligated to tell the truth. So that's kind of the baseline of the kind of company we're dealing with here. Facebook actively tried to prevent someone from testifying under oath to Congress. Now, what did this whistleblower say? Well, according to the testimony, Meta's own engineers warned leadership that expanding operations in China would expose American users to Chinese surveillance and censorship.
Have you ever known Mark Zuckerberg to censor on behalf of China?
Yes, Chairman Hawley.
Let's talk about a few specific instances. In 2017, the Chinese dissident Guo Wengyi suddenly had his Facebook profile shut down. Now, Facebook at first said that this was a temporary glitch. Was that true to your knowledge?
No, Senator Hawley.
In fact, Facebook shut down this dissident's page. This dissident, as you pointed out a moment ago, was living on American soil at the time. Facebook shut down that page based on pressure from the Chinese Communist Party. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Let's just take a look here at the documents.
A Chinese Communist Party member asked for the page of this dissident to be dealt with. Now, this wasn't a maybe or a hypothetical. Facebook actually did this. So why did Facebook agree to go along with the whims of the Communist Party of China? Well, because China's a big market, and big markets mean big money. Now, Facebook isn't technically in the Chinese market, but it kind of is. For example, occultist Rift headsets are available in China. But if Facebook can't sell Facebook in China, then what did Facebook see in the Chinese market? Well, in a nutshell, it's the opportunity to sell AI-based surveillance tools to the Chinese Communist Party. Nobody does AI better than Facebook. Now, Facebook is available in like Hong Kong and Taiwan, so at the behest of the Chinese Communist Party, Facebook implemented a tool called the Chief Editor.
Are you serious?
In the documents submitted to the subcommittee, Facebook appears to have been willing to provide the data of users in Hong Kong to the Chinese government at a time when pro-democracy protesters were opposing Beijing's crackdown. Is that impression correct? And how did Facebook treat Taiwan or Hong Kong?
So that impression is correct. One of the more surprising things is that as part of the censorship tool that was developed, there were virality counters. So anytime a piece of content got over 10,000 views, that would automatically trigger it being reviewed by what they called the chief editor. And what was particularly surprising is that the virality counters were not just installed, but activated in Hong Kong and also in Taiwan.
But this gets worse. This wasn't just about business expansion. According to their testimony, Meta's leadership allegedly hid the risks from the public. They didn't warn users, although they did make Hong Kong users agree to a new terms of service. But they didn't explain that Chinese regulators might have accessed to their data, and that means that American citizens who might have had content go viral in Hong Kong or Taiwan could have had their data given to the Chinese Communist Party. That's not just shady, that's dangerous. And then there's the question of AI. Allegedly, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg learned Mandarin.
This was a project unlike any other project I worked on during my time at Meta, in that it was so centrally led by Mark Zuckerberg, and he was so personally invested in this project. He learnt Mandarin. He traveled to China more than any other country. He had weekly Mandarin sessions with employees.
And then tried to help China compete with American companies for AI dominance using Facebook's Llama model.
So it's been well reported that Chinese researchers have used the Llama model both for AI weapons and also that Llama is part of what powers DeepSeek.
Now, at this point, you might be wondering, why would Facebook help an adversary gain AI dominance over the U.S.?
At the moment, as you're aware, there's a debate in the AI community around whether open source models or closed models are more appropriate. And one of the considerations around that is national security. But it's not clear at this moment whether open source models or closed models will ultimately prevail. And there's a lot of money on the line. In some ways, you could say it's helpful if you want open source to prevail to have a strong threat from a Chinese model so that you can say it's really important that America wins this and we are the American open source option.
This is kind of a Zorg from the Fifth Element way of thinking here. Help our adversary and then turn to America and say, look, our adversary is so advanced in AI, give me funding for my Llama open source model so we can compete. But here's the problem. When a private company with that much power decides to play ball with an authoritarian regime, we all get drafted onto the team whether we like it or not. If Chinese state actors gain access to Meta's infrastructure, that's not just a theoretical privacy concern, it's an intelligence vulnerability. It means that adversaries can map social networks, track individuals, and potentially insert disinformation in ways that are incredibly hard to trace. Once that happens, you don't put the genie back into the bottle. You know, you might not care about Facebook, you might not even have an account anymore, but Meta still builds the tools that your kids use. It controls the platforms your family scrolls through during dinner. It knows your interests, your locations, and thanks to third-party trackers, what kind of dog food you buy. Look, I find people, and then I give that information to my client. And while I don't always know what my client does with that information, usually they, well, you get the idea. Ask any intelligence analyst. The line between advertising profile and targeting package is razor thin. We often use the same data. The whistleblower's testimony paints a picture of a tech giant that saw profit in an authoritarian regime and then ignored its own people when they raised alarms. We're talking about a company that supposedly put shareholder value over national security and then tried to keep you from noticing. If these allegations are true, it's not just an ethics issue, it's a security breach at scale. And no amount of connecting the world spin can cover that up.
Can I just ask you, you know Mark Zuckerberg very well, you spent a lot of time with him. He's recently tried a reinvention in which he is now a great advocate of free speech after being an advocate of censorship in China and in this country for years, after suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story, after working hand in glove with the Biden administration to suppress content on COVID, to suppress content on masks, to suppress content on election questions, on vaccines. All of that, now that's all wiped away. Now he's on Joe Rogan and says that he is Mr. Free Speech, he is Mr. MAGA, he's a whole new man, and his company they're a whole new company. Do you buy this latest reinvention of Mark Zuckerberg?
Senator, there are two things. If he is such a fan of freedom of speech, why is he trying to silence me?
Hey, if you want to support the channel and read about China, grab my copy of The Wind Machine from Amazon. It's about AI and a war with China. I also have some signed copies available on Bunker Branding. You can also grab one of my landmine marker t-shirts there as well. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Wow, this girl from Watertown sure is cool. Hey kid, what's going on? Think tank! You know, a girl from Watertown is kind of like riding a moped. It's lots of fun till your friends see you on one. What's really cool is a t-shirt or hoodie from Bunker Branding. Wow! Intel Life! Control-C, Control-V! That's exactly what we do! And Bunker Branding has all sorts of cool gear. Intel Life, Aerosol, Live, Laugh, Launch for Destroyer, Trident, HIMARS, and Patriot. Think outside the bomb. Drone Sweep Drone, Department of the Boat People, Landmine, and even the tow missile. It would behoove you to grab one today. Girls from Watertown aren't cool, so wear your Bunker Branding gear. Now I know. And knowing's half the battle. Hey babe, you wanna dance? Bunker Branding!